Hello, DeeCee.
Yo,
How are
yo,
you
I,
doing?
yeah, I'm Mo. I'm so sorry. When I first said what's up, I was, because today's my day off. I was on the couch saying, yeah, okay, I'll crash for a bit, and then the sleeping, crashing for a bit. I woke up as soon as I was like, oh snap, let me see what's up with Mo. So I apologize, but thanks, man.
No,
How
it's
you doing?
okay. Sorry.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm so happy most of the time.
Okay, but.
And no, I think part why I am so happy and always thankful is that biggest part of it is growing up in Yemen, where it's like now I can even go eat sushi. I have work. I have internet. I have electricity. I don't hear
Yeah.
bombs. So, yeah, I would say that's the secret.
Yeah, that's the secret of happiness is not living in Yemen. That's big. That's hilarious. Nah, let's do this, man. I felt like the odd one out. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I hope Mo calls me sometime, man. I hope one reaches out sometime. So I'm glad that he did.
No, I really, you are one of the people who I was like, it's so important to have you in. Also, you remember the first time you wrote me in Joke Zoom, you were like, good job. Uh,
Yes.
I don't know, but maybe you as a comedian, you can feel more that someone when they start comedy, if someone wrote them a message or anything, it means a lot because it's like I need it.
Hey, I'm so happy you felt that way because that's the intention. I mean, it only takes 5 or 10 seconds to acknowledge something to say, thanks, a good job, or that might make the difference between someone says, oh, fuck it, it's not for me, versus okay, let me just keep moving forward. So I think it goes a long way. Like I appreciate hearing that too, and someone reaches out. So I'm just
Yeah.
paying it forward.
Let me switch the. I have this. I'm sorry. Here we heat the water with electricity. So you are in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago. Hey, so you're in Cyprus?
Yes.
Okay. Now, where does Canada come in? Because you have some kind of association connection to Canada. Where does that come in?
So I meet my girl in Cyprus, Canadian. She's
Uh,
Canadian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She came to Cyprus and we crashed in the harbor just like that, out of nowhere. I didn't even want to go out that night. She didn't want to go out. She was out with her friend. We catch eyes
Right.
and I talked to her. I was like, give me your number. And then we went on a date. And then we fall in love. And then COVID happened. We lived together. We get married. And now she's back in Canada sponsoring me. That's the story with Canada.
Oh, so first of all, you're married.
It's a little bit um, how to explain it when people ask me you are married because we had to get married so
Oh,
we can
okay.
do the sponsorship, but we
Right, right,
still like
right,
didn't
right.
have the wedding or all these things. But I proposed to her.
Okay. Got it. Got it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Um, all right. Okay. I totally get it. Congratulations. And hopefully soon to be my new Canadian brother, man.
Thank
Knocking
you.
wood.
So you told me you are Canadian, and when did you move to Chicago?
Wow. Okay. I've been asked that question a long time. So yeah, I'm Canadian, and I was born in Canada, born and raised in Canada, and I moved to Chicago probably like 7, 8, I think wow, close like 10 years ago now. It's been a while, since 2011, 2012, sometime like that. 2011, let's say 2011. That's when I first moved to Chicago. And I've been working in Chicago since 2011, spent time in Singapore for a couple of years. And then now I'm back in Chicago again. So I lived in a couple of places in the United States, and Chicago is the last place I lived in. But I spent time in North Carolina, and I spent a little bit of time in Florida. So I like to take the piss out of Florida. But Canada has always been a home. Still is up here, but my physical home now is Chicago. Does that roundabout way to get to the answer?
Do you have some connection to Chicago? It's like, even if you go on vacation, do you feel that you miss it? Do you feel that you belong to this place, or is there other reasons? Maybe
Well,
family?
now I do. Now I feel that there's a connection to Chicago, but I didn't have any family ties at all. Maybe only one family tie is my sister-in-law, and that's really a distant, connection. But now that I'm here, I think that Toronto is like the cousin of, Chicago is like the cousin of Toronto. That's what I say. They're almost identical in terms of size, variety, so many different ethnicities, lifestyle, just pace. There's so much similarities. But I think people who live in Chicago, people from this part of Illinois, because Chicago is a small city, is a big city, but one small dot out of a huge state in the United States, right? But it's got a huge population in the surrounding area. So I feel that area is almost identical to Toronto, but just people in Chicago are a lot more warmer, kind of like a Midwestern attitude, Midwestern love. And also in the comedy scene, people are really, really, I've been surprised, in fact, how open and welcoming they've been in the Chicago scene. Like, I thought it's gonna be more tight with cliques and people holding on to their jokes. No, we're not gonna give you any feedback. Screw you. It hasn't been that way. Some people have been reaching out, and some, easy to connect with. So yeah, Chicago does feel like home now.
Yeah, but when you said that Chicago is the cousin of Canada, I don't know anything, but one thing I know, that Chicago is so famous with the guns, but Canada, Toronto is not. Is there like too many guns in Chicago? Is the people, every time you hear gun shooting, it's in Chicago? What's up with
It's
Chicago?
funny. I'm hearing this from someone who grew up in Yemen. Probably your birth gift was a gun or a bullet around the neck. I don't know. Like, that's this. You grew up in a place where there's guns on every single household, whereas in Chicago, the only thing is that our murders make the news. So no, Chicago's pretty bad. It does have a gun violence problem, or a gun problem in general. They say gun control. There's no control. It's a gun problem, no gun control. But of course, there are certain pockets that's where stuff like that is really hot, and the other pockets of Chicago where it's very community oriented and it's not like that, and it's very, very protective and very relatively safe. And I live in the area where if I hear pop 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 pop, I immediately think, fireworks, man. Someone's got fireworks. See, that's the area that I live in, as opposed to other parts of Chicago is like, run and duck, right? So that I feel, though, there's aside from the gun issue, there's a lot of similarities just to Toronto.
So what's the difference between the area you live in, or where there are guns? Is it like poor areas and rich areas, or?
Okay, so yeah, and I'd say it's I'd say poor. Call it simple. There's higher income where I live, and the people in the neighborhood where I live, and better schools in the areas where that is closer towards the downtown of Chicago, called the South Side and West Side. And those are the areas that are older, they've been there for longer time, and the people don't earn as much, and it's they always call it hood,
Yeah.
if you use that word. Or I wouldn't say ghetto. I guess it's kind of old term, right? But I'd say it's more hood than anything else. There's more activity going on. But even President Obama came from South Side Chicago. So even those neighborhoods that have that reputation also have
Wow.
pockets of people and communities that try to bind it together. and try to undo the negative stereotype. So yeah, there's a lot of this high proportion of violence and street stuff that does happen, but there's also a different type of community that's there as well. People know one another. There's, community associations, people who try to counteract and um, come together to try to uh, undo the negative perspective, the negative stereotype of that particular part of that city. So
Yeah. I
but
mean, I might not like Obama politically, but I do respect his success and achievement in life. He even have
yeah.
Netflix good documentaries, and it's really fascinating about the U.S. Presidents. Like you can see them being president, and then they are running Netflix show, or they were businessmen. It's interesting.
Well, it's amazing. I find amazing in the United States that not you can become president of the United States even if you don't come from white collar stock, or like the fancy stock, like the bougie stock, like the Bush families. And if you
Yes.
don't come from generational wealth, you still have an opportunity to make it to the highest station platform in the world, or in the political world, which is, I believe, being U.S. president. So Obama, he grew up in abroad, and biracial kid, grew up in Hawaii, and then got his political start in Chicago. So he
Mm.
lived in the correct as a community activist, and then that's where he became popular. That's where he stood out and declared a stance and aligned with certain political philosophies, aligned with Democrats, and then he became who he was. So that's the Chicago's claim fame is, yeah, we produce gangsters, but we also produce presidents.
Yeah, that's
So,
fascinating how this neighborhood shape some people like Obama to be so successful, but it's so rare. Is it because some people say that um, we are born winners, and some people, when they are in bad areas, it even makes them stronger, and some people will never make it, and or what is it?
I
Why do
think
you
people
think
have the
Obama?
potential to exceed and excel if they're allowed to have that opportunity. If you have mentors and positive influences around you, you could see a greater potential. You can aspire to higher stuff, right? Higher things. That's if you have that around you. That's if you're on a supportive family that says, "Yo, you can do anything, man. You don't just limit yourself to just community college, or
Mm.
you try this, or get a passport and travel." Like, if you're around people who say that all the time, then the sky's the limit. But if you grew up in a neighborhood where you don't hear that all the time, and you hear nothing but, you black, you get hypertension by the time you're 45, you ain't getting no dad, and
Mm.
where's your mom at? And then people said, you hear all these other negative voices based upon the stereotype thrown at you, and just because you look like a statistic, then you start to buy into that. But the people who overcome that are the ones who have enough imagination to our self-talk that is larger and louder than the voices that is thrown at them in their community or in their neighborhood. So those are the ones then who are able to have self-talk that's so strong, so loud, they'll be like, you know what? I don't believe anything that I don't believe anything that everybody else is saying around me. Here's what I know is possible in my mind. And then they're so headstrong that value carries them for the rest of life. If they get out of that neighborhood, if they get out of that situation. So they have that drive because they needed it to survive, and then that carries over to other parts of life once they leave the hood.
No, it's a very valid point. It's even very important for example, parents to also give their kids this mindset. Like,
Yeah.
I meet a girl through my friends, and she's from Netherlands. So for me, from Yemen, to hear someone from Netherlands, I'm like, perfect life. But she actually works here in Cyprus with the lowest salary, which is in all Europe. They don't give her off days. The work is bad. And when I talked to her, she told me that her mom always kept telling her, like, you are a loser, you are ugly, you cannot make it.
Wow.
So she didn't go to college. She didn't even want to live in Netherlands anymore, and it even affect like her mindset. Like, for example, at her work, if she's a little bit sick or tired, she's not so confident. They would tell her, listen, you have to do the work, or you don't get to value yourself. It's really sad how some parents
Wow.
program their kids, and it's crazy.
Yeah. So the loudest voice in our lives, it's funny that you mentioned that. The loudest voice that we always hear in our lives, the ones that resonate the highest, is the words that comes from our mother or father, right? Yes, we have our peers and friends and speak into us and speak stuff to us, but the words that have the most weight are the words that come from our parents. So that's it's pretty powerful stuff when someone is defining defining your limiting beliefs. Uh, and that takes a lot to undo. There's a lot of undoing and reprogramming that has to happen. And um, like in your situation, to get out of Yemen. I mean, I always floored by when I see you in the room. I always laugh because you think of jokes and humor in a whole different wavelength than the average person in our room. So I'm going, yo, that shit's funny, right? It's dark,
Yeah.
but in order to get out of Yemen, in order to really survive, you had to take that darkness and find another way of spinning and go, okay, there's got to be humor in this, or you got to, otherwise it's going to eat away at your soul and chip away at your core being. But you find a way to find the humorous side out of the darkest things that's around you. So that's what makes you unique. So I'm curious as to what voices were around you that made you feel like, you know what, I'm I'm able to get out of Yemen. I'm able to get out of that situation. Like, what voices do you have around you, or who do you listen to that made you believe that you had more to life than what was in Yemen?
Mhm. So for me, I feel so fortunate that my family always supported me. They always,
Oh,
I even came from, I wouldn't say wealthy family, but my dad bought me a car when I was 14 because in Yemen you don't need driving license, nothing. If you're
right.
rich, so, and they always told me you can make it, you can do it. Like my parents
Okay.
always supported me. The only problem with my parents is their philosophy in
Okay.
life. I don't agree with their philosophy and what they believe in. So I get the support from my family and I get my philosophy of life mostly from the Joe Rogan podcast. That's how I navigate.
Okay. Yeah. The Apostle Joe. Yeah. The Apostle Joe, the Saint Joe.
Yeah, I like how it's like what I like about his podcast is that he's not married to his ideas. That's what I admire the most about even my friends, anyone I want to listen to. I
Yeah.
love people. Sorry?
He's open. He's open to hearing, to listening, instead of being dogmatic with one belief system, right?
Exactly. And to exam, because I feel that we are like uh, humans, we examine ideas. And when
Mhm.
you don't examine ideas, or if you married to them and you defend them, it's funny because we don't even know why we are here or how we exist. So when you become that idea, it's so dangerous. And I think that some people have better filters of examining ideas and what they hear and I think that's part of success. When you know what you want to listen to, and I think that's also you need a plan in life. So you know
Yeah.
what is good for you and how to filter informations.
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you have that certain maturity enough, you have enough maturity to discern. Okay, like this makes sense versus okay, this is bullshit versus being told that all right, even though it's bullshit, I gotta accept it as the truth, accept it as the foundation of everything that I believe in, because that's what I've been told. you're open, you've opened up your mind enough to say, you know what else is there to question. It's so healthy to question. I come from a very background, dogmatic religious background in the Christian faith world, which I grew up Pentecostal, and it is what it is, and these are the words of the gospel, and this is the way you're supposed to have to live, and this is what you have to say. If you don't say these things, don't look this way, then you can't call yourself and associate anything with God or your faith or religion. And so it's very dogmatic, it's very polarizing. So it's you put yourself on this pedestal, you're told to put yourself on this pedestal separate from everybody else, but it's no fun being isolated. You're not really doing the service to others or to humanity by always looking down on people like, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're going to go to hell, you're going to go to hell. There's no compassion, like very little compassion. So it took me a long time to take off that mask, take off that layer that's been built up because of my upbringing for many years, to be, to now instead be a person who's able to listen and hear and receive people who are so different from me culturally and racially and spiritually, and still put my arm around them going, all right, what's up? All right, what's up, Mohammed? Man, let's talk. Let's go have a drink. Let's go have a beer. Oh, snap, you can't drink? All right, I'll get you seltzer. I'll have the beer. But to be open and open up my eyes to hear other people, even other people of different faiths, say inshallah, or say God bless you, or even wish me Merry Christmas, and they're not even Christian. And that happened in Singapore. Singapore is transformative. That's a whole nother story. That's a great story to share. And that experience really opened my mind to, like, not only just being part of jokes, but really gave me my rebirth again in comedy, but with a different mindset now, different life experience, and being open. Like when we were in the writing rooms, the only way it works is to be open and to listen to every comedian and to every joke, and be open that, hey, it's not my humor, but I'm going to try and support that person, find they're funny. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Regardless if they say something, be like, oh, you're talking about slavery? Damn. Or you talk about the N-word? All right. But still, in the context of our comedy space, it's a safe space. I want to encourage that, and not really get judgmental on a person who might say something like, oh, that's going to offend me. No, it's, it's jokes, it's humor, right? You taking the piss out of Christians. Okay, I got it. But let's find the humor in it here, and this is a safe space. So
exactly. I think they say that when you travel, it opens your mind, and
yes,
it also, you find yourself, because for me it's weird who we are. I don't know who we are. Nobody knows. It's weird for me. But they say that when you, for example, now you are in Chicago, if you move to Cyprus, you will find new person that will never be that person that was in Chicago.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Just to have a global perspective and how we on the people in our lives, versus having hey, I just grew up in the hood, I only know Chicago, I only know the city. I feel sorry for the people that I run into in the United States and certain communities, and they don't have a passport. I say, yo, nigga, get yourself a passport. All right, you explore the world. There's more beyond your borders than your own neighborhood. And that's one of the most powerful tools that's going to shape your life, is by seeing how other people live, other people's perspectives. That's all that shapes yours. Like for me, Singapore was the deal. Like I've lived and traveled abroad many years for different places, like Africa. I used to live in Zimbabwe, and of course I'm Canadian. So I have an outside in perspective of looking at the United States. But living in Singapore in the last 5-6 years and looking at the United States from the outside in, I was like, oh damn. The United States has a very bad reputation. Like, oh, I was like on an apology tour. Like, I'm sorry. That's, I didn't vote for him. I don't know what to say. You can take your issue. I'm not responsible for your oil. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. Like,
You mean in
I don't know what to say for the
Singapore?
shootings.
In Singapore, the US has bad reputation.
Well, no, okay. Singapore, they enjoy the United States, but the news that travels is anything that's sensationalized. So, like the whole Trump situation was sensationalized, right? Or the gun violence that you always hear about. Unfortunately, I come from the city which has a highest ratio of gun violence per capita, right? So that comes up. I'm like, oops, I'm happy to be here. So it's Yeah, it's funny to see. It's interesting to see their perspective of the United States from the outside in, and the rest of the world. So yeah, unfortunately, people who live in the United States can sometimes be very myopic, like tunnel vision, like we're the greatest country in the world. Well, how do you know? You only know like in like two neighborhoods, and if you're in the military, you only been in the neighborhood, countries in which you can conquer, right? So of course you can feel you're the greatest if you got your gun in your hand, right? You take away your gun or you another country, you ain't gonna flex the same way. You better respect that. So yeah,
I don't. This is it's going crazy between. So it's fun for me coming from Yemen. We always hate the USA because we think that they destroy Iraq like the only strong country we had. They killed the strongest Arabic leader, Saddam Hussein.
right.
Most people are so pissed about all this. But when I start listening to also Joe Rogan podcast, and for example, Jacko, Jacko Willie,
Yeah.
he's an Navy SEAL, or Tulsi, you have different perspective. First of all, whatever the US is doing doesn't represent all the US people. It's some people on the top made wrong decisions, or they might be right decisions. And also when I see the Jacko, the mentality, why the US Army went to fight, it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense to me. Uh, like Jacko, he says that people like ISIS has to be killed or have to be killed, which is I agree with him. Some people have to be killed, like some people are so bad. So it kind of give you different perspective, but don't you think maybe there is a third part that trying to push the US in, because that's what people think even from before, that the US were pushed to Iraq, were pushed to Afghanistan.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What do you think?
Uh well, I let me just qualify by saying I'm no expert in
Just what
geopolitics,
you
right?
think.
And
What do you
or
think?
what I think. I think that there's a larger hand on top saying we need this conflict, right? For the long term. There's someone at the end saying, we need this conflict because there is money to be secured, and there's one part of Middle East that messes up our ability to
Mm,
get money in terms of oil, money in terms of partnership, a political cloud or a leverage with one nation versus the other. And then, those at the top, believe it or not, some people, sometimes it's government in the United States, other people, it's for other times, it's people outside the government who's got more money than government that influences government, right? Yeah, the
they
policies and
politicals.
decisions like oil and big oil um and other people who make money off of the geopolitics, or even weapons manufacturers who kind of say, you know what, war is big business. You ever seen a movie called Lord of War? It had Nicolas Cage.
Lord of War. Is it on Netflix? I will watch it.
It's probably no longer on Netflix, but if you Google it or YouTube it, it's Nicolas Cage. He plays an arms dealer. He kind of plays small scale in the United States, and then he grew in the international scale, and he arms gives arms to all people in third world countries, and makes a whole lot of shit ton of money doing that, starting off with using U.S. surplus weapons, right? And that's how he made his first stash. So he ended up going across the world, just going into conflicts and arming both sides, right? So so that's very interesting, because that's how someone's making profit off of the conflict in in that region. And then ISIS, I of course there's no fundamental way in which that can thrive in a healthy way. I mean, it's a cancer to your faith that you're born with. It is a cancer to your faith, and unfortunately, it's a cancer that spread to people who are uneducated quickly, right? So and then if you're living in the neck of woods in which your people are being rooted in faith, rooted to follow some tenets in the faith based upon misinformation and disinformation, and then discouraged from being educated so that they don't have the tools to learn the truth or to learn more than beyond what's in the Quran. That's dangerous. That's, you know, and they perfected that. That had to be stopped, because then you have people who are saying, I'm willing to die for something what I believe in, even what I believe in is bullshit, a version of what is bullshit, you know, like a twisted version of what is true or reality. I'm willing to die for this philosophy, this ideology. That's what makes that country a threat to the United States, because the United States are not full of people willing to die always for an ideology, except for the dying for this right of freedom and under the banner of being, you know, a soldier, right? Because you're taught to defend the United States, you know, at all costs and protect its rights. So, yeah, it's a different beast. Like people don't have a bad day. Go, you know what? I'm going to join something that's going to allow me to you know, I don't have a job. I'm looking down on life, and you know, life's not look pretty bleak. Okay, let me join a cause that allows me to kill people, and some blame my issues on somebody else, you know, an entity. I'm going to feel justified in that. And there's more of that in, you know, ISIS and certain parts of the world that have those type of you know, those type of that type of trouble versus the United States. And the United States does have them. They're just not as prominent, developed, and big, except for maybe, you know, some of the militia groups here and Proud Boys, and that's a whole different story. That's a whole nother story. So that's a long answer, man. That's a loaded question. You're trying to trap me.
I
This is going to be used
love your
against me in the court of
answer.
law
I
later on.
love your answers. You even make it 2 sections. You answer my first question and second. I love how you organize them and give it to me like in pace of cake.
Well, I'll feel free to have this type of discussion with you, because you have first of all, you're not going to use this against me in the future when I say, hey, I'm doing a show in Yemen, hook me up. And then someone captures this video and go, yeah, bullshit, you're going to come in because we got this on tape. What were you saying about Islam? What? You apostate, heresy. So I know that's not going to happen, but I just like keeping it real with you, man. I think that's the reason why I resonate with you. So, you know, let's reach out to Mo, man. Even though that some of those jokes sometimes just make people go, oh gosh, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, that's just funny. But you got to find the right audience, right? So I I just
Well, to know, I really learned that you cannot use common sense on comedy. I mean, for sure, I'm not gonna go there and talk like a drunk person or someone who is in drug unconscious and saying crazy things. But whatever that I have the chance that it might be funny or no, I just throw it there. That's what you gain, the confidence, even you gain with time.
Man, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy that you got that. And did you catch that pretty early, or did it take a couple of times, you know, before you realized that, you know what, I feel safe enough to try this, and I feel confident to try this? Like, I mean, were you ever shut down by us?
What did you say? That what?
Did you ever feel shut down,
No.
you know, in the groups, or, you know, when you're trying to do the Zoom stuff?
To be honest, I told you, like, for me, I don't watch the news. I don't listen to music. I only listen to podcasts the whole week. I also work online and I open the
Okay.
podcast on the side. So basically, I do listen to all Joe Rogan podcasts that he put every week, and I keep listening to the old ones from 2013, 12, 14. And I have listened to almost all the comedians that Joe Rogan ever had in his podcast since he started it.
Like Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle and
There are too many comedians. So some of them don't even have
okay.
Instagram. But
Right.
they are like, he had so many comedians. And this is the best education because you hear all the comedians and he talks. And also, what's good is when Joe Rogan and other podcasts with artists like musicians, he bring musicians or he brings scientists or doctors, and they always get that accident in the middle about talking about art or sometimes talking about comedy. So you learn so much from these people because that's what
Well, the
makes.
reason why he resonates with you, I'm guessing, and also like billions of people, because he's got now what, almost like a 50 million or $5 million, some crazy contract with Spotify, because he asks great questions. He's genuinely is curious. He is a generously curious, curious dude in everything. So whatever it is that you come to the table with, you got something interesting. He will ask the best questions that draws you out. And then that's the reason why you have 2 hour 3 hour podcast shows, because he there's a natural dialogue or banter, and he creates that space, and then you feel as though that you're in the room, right? You feel as though that you're in the room, and in that exchange with whoever he's talking to. So that's all the power to him, and he deserves every single money dollar that he earns. So just from doing his thing. So
Yeah, so to be honest, for me, as like joke Zoom, doing comedy Zooms, I started doing comedy here, the only one, last summer. Now it's seasonal in Cyprus. It's seasonal, so you can do more things on the summer. So I did some stand-up comedy this summer, and it
So,
went so.
what does stand-up comedy look like in Cyprus? I'm curious. Now, let's switch the seats here. I want to find out, okay, what does stand-up scene look like there, and what does the room look like, and who attends? How
Okay.
many people show up? Is it at a bar? Is it in a basement? Is it at a hall? Like where does it happen? So tell me.
So number one, there is no stand-up comedy in Cyprus. Although some people they go online and they might have so Facebook, it's old beige. If you call them, nothing exists anymore. Especially with COVID,
Mhm.
maybe there were 1 or 2 rooms in the whole island. Now, especially in the city where I am, they don't know what is stand-up comedy.
Mm.
Nobody knows. But tourists, of course, if someone comes from the US or some people who travel out of here. So basically, I just went to the bars and I told them, give me the microphone, we do stand up comedy.
That's so awesome.
So I had like 10 bars, 8 of them say no. Are you crazy? I don't know what is this. And two
Right.
of them I was able to convince them because I was bringing around 10 people, my friends.
Okay.
So they actually weren't even convinced to do stand up comedy, but they were more convinced that my friends are coming. So I think I did around like 15 sets on the bars last summer. And
Wow.
I have a friend, he has a house with a pool, and he was nice to me that he told me anytime you have stand-up comedy you can do pool party. So people were so attracted, like because if you're coming to my stand-up comedy, it's a pool party, it's barbecue, there gonna be some guys and girls, you may get
That's
layout.
awesome.
It's crazy that I don't know how they advertise comedy in the US, but guys, they only come if there is girls. They don't care what comedy about.
Yes,
Chicks,
yes. Like
we are
any
coming.
type of bars. Like, yeah, yeah. And of course, ladies are attracted to guys who are funny, right? There you go. At least Western ladies. I'm not too sure if traditionally, Yemenis women were attracted to guys with humor. I don't think, they make it out with humor. But yeah, it's but dude, you created a scene. You created a comedy scene in Yemen. That's your claim to fame. That's your stamp on the world right now. It's like you created something out of nothing. So that's crazy, man. That blows my mind. You created something out of nothing. You created a comedy scene. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's even more crazy how I learn it. It's like I watch it in Zoom and it really works. Like the punchline people give me in joke Zoom. People
Okay.
laugh, and the more I learn about comedy, it makes sense because it's like you twist people, and We already tried
Right.
them in Joke Zoom and other Zooms. So it's so fascinating for me. It's fun.
And do you find that it's also when you walk around outside of town and now outside in the real world, you start to look at things differently. You start to look at situations differently. You start to hear conversations differently. You know, when somebody says something, now you got this hat on going, let me make it known. That person said this. This is all right. Mental, I'm going to capture this. You start to reframe the way you see your world when you're always writing comedy. All of a sudden, you find more opportunities for jokes around you, right?
Exactly. It
And
has to be you. You have to, as they say, it's like 24/7. It's a mask. You wear it 24/7. There is no other escape. That at the night you are funny. But I want to tell you the happiest thing I have heard was last week. My friend, he met me with a new friend of his, and he didn't tell him any info about me. That guy, just after 10 minutes of talking to me, he's like, man, you have to be stand-up comedian. You have to.
yeah.
And I also find the way now to put some punchline on my conversation. Like if I'm talking about Yemen, like he asked me, we were walking by the sea. And he
Right.
asked me, he's like, how did you get to Cyprus? So I told them I get with the ark. I arrive here next to this area. And I was telling him also my camel drowned. So it as you said, also comedy opened my eyes that Kamal is funny. You can throw here. And I felt so happy when already people see it on you. Then you feel that there is potential on me because already when I talk to people, they can smell the comedy.
Okay.
So it makes me
So
so
you're
happy.
so you have many opportunities to test jokes like in
I do it.
conversation, and they don't know it, but you know it. So okay, that'll hit on the stage. Good. That's everyday life. You get to test jokes every single day. All right. That's awesome. That's as soon as you go out of your house, you leave doors. That's a great opportunity to seize and to look for. Just by meeting people and having conversations and just by listening, and that's where those opportunities come up from. That's exciting to hear, man. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing. And I'm also like by nature, that's why I have faith. I always like to make fun. And that's also before I even know about comedy when I left Yemen. That's how I felt that this works. When you make people laugh, when you are funny, you kind of buy people and attract them. So even
you
before
buy
I
good you buy goodwill with laughter, right? I mean, you can get out of bad situations with laughter. You can make people who are depressed less depressed with laughter. You know, so no matter where you're at, people need to laugh. People need some kind of jest or humor, even in the darkest places. I'm sure, I'm sure even when you grew up, there are some lighter moments or there's some places or people that as dire situations were, um, you know, there's humor. Like, I mean, we look at a dead body one way and go, oh my goodness, someone died. And then and you look at a dead body and go, what kind of shoes were they? Like, how would he want to die with those kind of shoes, man? Man, didn't someone tell you about you wear the good underwear on you? You wear good underwear every single time you leave the house, not with bad holy underwear. Like, and then you'll notice something different about something that'd be totally like morbid. So that's where I think is humor comes in to cuts the edge off of the sharpness of life. And dude, if you grew up in a place that had it all the time, you need to. If you grew up in a place like Singapore and everybody's repressed, they're dying to like, okay, give us an excuse to laugh at. And I felt it's easiest to be humorous in Singapore because they're so hungry for Western style, comedy and humor, and they get a lot of internet and TV from the West. So, the way I look in Singapore, which is rare, one of my jokes is when I showed up, like there's so few black people. Like when I showed up, they didn't even use my name. They just called me Black Man Number 5, like I'm an endangered species. And it's funny because it's true. Not say that I was numbered, but there's so few of us. But then that joke hits all the time, no matter where I go in the world. People, oh yeah, I could see that. That's you're a fish out of water. And then people are just really hungry for to have release in their stressful lives through laughter. because they have a different type of stress, like an overwork stress. Like I'm working 6 days a week for 50 hours for a fixed salary and a job that I hate. I need to go out 2, 3 nights a week with some alcohol and find an excuse to laugh. And I was happy to be able to provide that for them. Much like where you're the role that you're right now, in this part of your life, which you're around certain people who need an excuse to laugh. You're going to be coming across a person's life or crossing their path at a time when they're either mourning or sad or depressed or anxious or meant to make a bad decision that's going to affect themselves or others. And you give them that glimmer of hope of that soul, chip away a bit of that bitterness by making them laugh. So literally, we are necessary for the world, man. You have a role, you have a calling. I feel I have a calling too. My calling took longer to find than yours.
It's and for example, when you have sexual experience with someone, that's how I compare it to comedy. I think that I feel like we as humans, especially in Yemen, we decriminalize sex and fun. We look at it like, oh, like you have to be married, or like we make it complicated until it's not even enjoyable anymore. But what I wanted to talk, I mean, like in Yemen, I don't think anyone have good orgasms. Everyone have sex for kids. But what I wanted to say is that you feel connected to this person because it feels good. So when someone makes you laugh, I feel that your body likes it. So your body get connected to that person, and that's how I feel famous comedian make it, because they find. For me, I try to start with my friends, because all my friends are friends with me because I'm so funny. They are like looking forward to hang out in the weekend because like they are like, you give us pain in the ass. So they look forward to see me. So now I'm trying to figure out how to make it an income and make everyone look forward to meet me like my friends. But that's how I see it.
Ah, how to make money off of something that I think you got crazy opportunity. You just got to figure out the best way how to make that happen. Okay, right now you're doing it right now, right? This is one of the ways that you're doing it. You have a channel, correct? Like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook.
Only for podcast. For me, I have a clear vision. I want to go to Canada because that's where I can go now and get papers because
Right.
to change. And then I'm moving to Texas to Joe Rogan. He opened big club in Texas,
Right.
Austin. The opening should be in the new year, and he is saying out loud, "I want to hire only comedians as waitresses and all this, so they can do open mics and learn." So for me, I believe that if I go to Texas, Austin, I will make it to be with the Joe Rogan because I learned from his podcast. I found comedy from his podcast. I believe in myself. And I'm also doing online job. I'm trying to grow it more. So when I go to Austin, Texas, maybe I don't even need to be hired.
Wow. So wow. That's specific. That's not a dream. That's a goal. That's a plan, Mo. First of all, I'm surprised that you're gonna say, let me get my Canadian citizenship. Thanks, Canada. Screw you, fuck you. I'm going to Texas. Like
Exactly.
that's that's essentially what you're doing, right? Just using Canada as a stepping stone. I gotta do what you gotta do, right? But remember, if you go to the United States, you got to come back to Canada at least every 3-6 months.
I mean, if I
Yeah.
get the US citizen, then bye. Like, I think that
Yeah.
you need, yeah, sorry.
Oh, well, then technically, then get a second wife. Get a Canadian wife, get a American wife down there. I mean, you're just being consistent with your faith. I'm just saying, yeah, spiritually speaking, you're on the right track. Your mom would be proud. Mom, I got two wives, Canada and America, 2 passports.
Yeah, that's funny.
But it's cool that you got a job that's portable enough to make that happen. And actually, it sounds like a very smart plan if you want to dive deeper into comedy and make it in comedy. Be around people who are always be around people who are funnier than you that actually are levels up, and then whatever that they can throw down at you to, you grab onto, and then you can use that to pull yourself up. So that's
Also,
exciting. I'm excited for you hearing that. I'm excited to hear Joe Rogan tell a story of a new hire that he has from Cyprus. Yo, I got this guy from Cyprus. He came, holy shit, he came all the way from Cyprus. Yeah, and he's working at my club, and this tenacity. And he's gonna give a story about you, because that shows that you're hungry for something that we're all passionate about, which is comedy, stand-up comedy, which opens doors. So kudos, man.
Comedians are the best people. When I hear them in Joe Rogan podcast, they are all welcoming to new coming comedian, and they want to take them in tour with them. Even Joe Rogan, he has new comedian that was homeless 1 year ago, was living in his car, and now he is touring with Joe Rogan. He was even
Wow.
in Joe Rogan podcast. So there is a chance you can be homeless 1 year ago, and then I like to watch these stories because it tells you so. And also for me, I feel Joe Rogan, he always talks that comedians are his tribe. So for me, I wanna, it's also motivation for me that if I become funny, if I make it, I will be in the Joe Rogan tribe. This is a dream for me. And I feel that
Okay.
this is where I belong. And I just was born in Yemen to make this story and to come back. That's
Dude,
what I think.
I'm anxious to see that evolve, and I'm watching it right now. I mean, it's good to be at the basement of this ascent. And if you don't know what a basement is, because you're not from the United States, a basement is the place in a house where you store boxes, host parties, and hide bodies. That's what basements are, right? It's
Bodies, no.
hey, that's the United States. Sketchy stuff is found in basements. All right.
Oh,
Actually, I'm gonna use that on stage sometime. But yeah, it's true. So I'm at the basement with you right now, and I'm anxious to see how far you can go with this. So it's cool. And hey,
it's
just remember us folk, man. When you tour, Mo, just remember this conversation. Remember that you're a cheerleader. You're a Canadian cheerleader stuck in Chicago. Wants to go on tour with you. All right.
it's really weird for me because right now there is nothing. It's all a dream. But I'm even doing this podcast for history because I want to say, for example, to Joe Rogan or people, I started at this year, I was in Cyprus. It's possible. I'm trying to make a story that someone can see me there and they can go and see where I started because it gives me so much fuel when I see people that I don't care if they are UFC fighter or Barack Obama or Donald Trump. I'm fascinated by this fuel. I always take this fuel. Doesn't matter who's the person or if I agree or disagree with them. If you did successful story, give me some of this fuel. I need it.
Dude, you're hungry. You're hungry, and that's what other draws successful people to you, because they see a similar hunger that they had that made them successful. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like attracts like, the power of attraction. So the friends that you draw towards you, because this is someone, there's a commonality that you share, right? And you're projecting what's really most important to you, which is humor and laughter, and just enlightening others. And then you're going to draw people who, like myself, who are on that wavelength as well too, who are on a different platform, and they're going to want you to be part of their circle. And then that circle gets larger, and then there are more people like that, and then it's a snowball. It's a snowball effect. So I'm eager to see how far your snowball rolls and how big it can get. And then this podcast is going to be recorded 5 or 6 years from now. I'm going, all right, damn, how did Mo get on Netflix? What the hell? All right, let me see. All right. Oh yeah,
I
I
hope.
got this discussion that we had. You never know. So I'm planting that seed. Maybe it might be Comedy Central, it might be Amazon Prime, whatever it is. But I'm planting that seed right now, because let's just manifest it.
Yeah.
So
And To be honest, finding people like you is amazing. Like it's part of the beautiful journey. That, for example, I don't have any idea about American or Canadian black person who lives in the US. Like I have no idea how these people. I didn't even speak the language. And there are also bad people and good people. So seeing people like you, it's a really good mirror. It gives.
Oh,
I'm just being honest, DC. It gives you good
Muaadh, am
perspective.
I your one black friend?
Because
Am I your one black friend? Man, that's an honor, man. You can now get to, you can tell people, man, yo, I got a black friend, man. Don't worry, I love black people. One of my best friends is black. I could be your best black friend. There you go. I could be that person.
no,
No,
I
actually,
mean,
no, it's no that's
you also know we look to the world through our experience, and so now when for example, if I have good experience with humans in general, if my parents were good, if my friends were good, if you were good, I will have better experience in this world. I will trust more. So I really appreciate people like you, and that's why I am so thankful that I could talk to you and this, because you also mean a lot.
Hey, so Mo, okay, so why did it take so long for us to have this? Because we talked about this last year around December when you were toying with the idea that, so DeeCee, I'm going to have a podcast. I want you to be on the podcast. I was like, yes. And then all these people before me and going, did I offend him? Did I say something that I shouldn't have said to him? Like,
No.
what did I do wrong? So I'm curious, what took such a long time?
So
I'm
to
put,
be honest, for me, the more late we do it, the better, because I'm getting better on conversations, how to buzz, because I feel that every podcast I do, I'm better than the previous one. I'm more relaxed. Of course, there are different connection with people that maybe with you I have strong connection that even the next 10 podcast I won't have strong connection with the guests like this and interest. But I am not in rush. Especially if I like you, I am not in rush. I was like,
okay.
this is gold. Leave the gold
Oh
slowly.
man.
Now everyone come at the beginning will be like, what? We are not gold. Everyone is gold. Everyone is beautiful. But also that's true for me. I mean, if it doesn't happen, I let it natural. If it
Okay.
happens, but it was delayed from time to time.
Okay,
I'm like,
got it.
cool.
Then
No,
the timing was right. The
no,
timing is right.
yeah.
Okay, got it. I then I respect that. I mad respect that. All right, all right. So now I got to learn to be patient myself then, and know that my times will come. So this is the lesson learned on for me. So thank you.
No.
Tell me to hold out and be patient. I saw you did that reverse psychology Jedi mind trick.
No,
I'm impatient.
to be honest, I really mean it, DC. That I even the people I like, which is like you, and enjoyed so much, which is today. I have it from now in my mind that I would like to get better, get more followers, and have you again because it's not about anything. I admire you. I like the way you put yourself out there. You smile. You are a father. You are a husband. You give good image. So we need you, and
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
that's yeah. Thanks, man. It's uh, words of validation is one of my love language. All right, you ever heard that term, the love languages? There's there's five things that people need. One of five things that people need to feel love, to get a sense of love, or to
Yeah,
give it either physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, um, quality time, and then there's something else. I forgot what the fifth one is, but one of my biggest ones is words of affirmation. So like, I don't care about someone giving me money and gifts, but I do care about those words. And then I'm trying to do the same in return with those people whose value, which just to hear a good job or man, that's awesome, or that was funny. Like that could be fuel for that person to keep doing what they're doing. you know, and I like to receive it and I like to give it, and you know, in an honest, transparent way, like a very authentic way, not just to say, hey, that's funny, and me, all this type of shit. Like I just won't say anything, right? Like that, you know, not everything warrants a laugh,
Yeah,
right?
honestly.
So, but you know, I will give you props when deserved, and people don't hear that enough nowadays. So
Yeah. It's also
today,
good when we work together in Joke Zoom, and when you we build some connection when you helps me with some jokes, and I feel that you are trying to help me, even if it didn't work. I just appreciate that you are trying to give something to help me with my jokes, and I'm trying. It's beautiful.
well, I enjoy it because you're open. Like not everybody who comes into the writing room is like open to ideas or open to receiving. Even though that we say that, yeah, we're writing jokes together. You come in willing to be open. You don't come and say, you don't come and say, okay, here's my joke. I'm not going to change this and this and this. This is the only bit I need help with. Like you don't come across that way. But you know, if I like to play with in the sandbox with people who are open to playing. And you yourself have shown that you're always willing to always willing to open new ideas and be open to constructive feedback. There's no criticism, there's just constructive feedback. And the feedback that you can construct something different and better from each time you hear it. And you never really close down on anybody's ideas. You never really shut a person out. And for me, I like to support people who are as open as I am in that room.
This is the art, I would say. If you are not open, if you don't want to examine things, you don't want to have common sense or your way. Just see what works. The more open you are, the more you learn and the more you discover. So that's what I like. Just be open and keep learning. This I don't know because we started a little bit late, and I made plans with my friends.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, honestly, DeeCee, I don't want to finish this conversation. It's so much fun. The time goes fast. I don't want to close it. I really appreciate it.
Dude, we're just getting started. To be continued. All right. And let me know when this needs to be continued. And just when we're gonna have more, we're both gonna come to the table with more stories with your experiences and my experience, man. So hey, I want to respect your time and thanks for having me on this, man. Thanks for giving me another platform to share on. So I can't say thank you enough.
No, honestly, I am the one who should thank you. And I just want to tell you that you are so funny. I just like, I even love your voice, the outlook, how you put it out there. And it's also big motivation for me to see you in the scene or when you come to the Zoom. And I wish that I will always see you, and hopefully one time we can hang out together, and I'm sure I will enjoy you so much more than the Zoom.
Hey, hey, inshallah.
Inshallah, we will see
Yeah,
each other
inshallah.
in stand-up comedy place. I believe in us. Thank you so much, DeeCee.
All right. Hey, absolutely, man.
All
Absolutely.
the best.
Much love, bro.
Bye. Much.
Thanks.
Bye.